Okay, I'm back. Sorry guys, so a little hiccup there with the camera, so I had to fix that. All right, so welcome to Jamaicans.com. I am your host, Deborah Johnson. I am the nutritionist who comes on every Mondays at 6 p.m. and I share loads of information about nutrition. I also do some cooking. So this evening our topic is about iron deficiency anemia. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story. I'm going to talk about treatments, natural treatments related to food. But before we go into that topic, I wanted to take care of a few things. So first, let me say a huge thank you to Jamaicans.com for inviting me to be on this platform with you guys. I'm truly excited and honored to be here to basically help you all out when it comes to all these different issues that a lot of us might struggle with, right? I actually struggle with iron deficiency anemia. Another reason I want to cover it with you guys this evening, right? So yeah, so a little bit about me for those of you who are not familiar. A lot of familiar faces come on this show, but for those of you who are not familiar with my face, my name is Deborah. I think I said that much earlier, but I'll say it again. My name is Deborah, and I'm a nutritionist. Particularly, I'm a plant-based nutritionist. I call myself that because I myself eat plant-based. I enjoy eating plant-based. Basically what people consider a vegan, right? I eat no meat products or dairy or chicken or any of that stuff, and I quite like it, and so that's my focus. My focus is on plants, and so I usually teach with that in mind. So you'll always hear me talking about plants, the benefits of plants. So if you're interested in that, you're going to enjoy the show. All right. So in addition to that, I got a master's degree as well in nutrition, and also I have a company. I founded a company called My Temple Wellness, and it's based on a scripture that says that don't you know your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. And so because our bodies is a temple, we have to treat it like that. We have to care for it. We have to put the right things in it, the right fuel, like you do your car. We have to just care for it. So that's why I created that company, was to educate people on that. In addition to finding that company, my main role that I do right now, I'm a community health nutritionist. So I live in the Bronx, and that's where most of my work takes place. So that with that role, I basically work with churches, community centers, senior centers. I even work with gardens, and I do a lot of nutrition education. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. As you come in, I want to know where you're coming from. Hey cousin Shirley, wagwan. Let me know where you're coming from. And guys, based on the topic we're doing today, Satoko from Japan, welcome. Good to see you. Grace Purpose, one of my regulars. As you come in, guys, let me know where you're coming in from. Like I said, I'm in the Bronx. I was born and raised in Jamaica though, but I was transplanted here some years ago. But now I'm gonna tell you how much because they're gonna try to guess my age. Which is fine. I mean, who cares? But anyway, yeah, so I've been living here for quite some time, and enjoy living in the Bronx. It's great, but the Bronx is one of the most unhealthiest boroughs. Did you guys know that? I don't know if you're familiar, but it's one of the most unhealthiest boroughs, and so I try to educate folks in the Bronx quite a bit. All right, so I think I'm going on and on a little bit too much about myself, so let's end there. I want to jump right into the topic today. As I said before, iron deficiency anemia. Let me say hi to a few of you guys. Kamina, hey, what's up, girl? So good to see you on. Okay, so before I get started, I want to encourage all of you to share this on your page, especially if you know somebody who might have iron deficiency anemia, or just because a lot of women and some men do struggle with iron deficiency anemia for various reasons, which we're going to cover. All right, so please share this. Please let people know that we are on here. And again, let me know where you guys are dialing from, where you're watching me from. Patrice, welcome. Marjorie Brown from Maryland, let me know where you guys are watching me from. And we're just gonna jump right into the material today. So iron, what exactly is iron, right? So iron is a mineral. It's one of the essential minerals that we require for our body. Now, when you hear that word essential, guys, think about necessary. Think about you don't make it in your body. Think about that. So because it's essential, you actually have to make sure that you're getting enough iron in your body, right? And so what happens is the iron that we eat, because that's usually how we get our iron. Some people do supplementation, which I'll talk about in a second. Yeah, some people do supplementation, but we're not going to get too much into that. But I will sort of address that on some level. So what happened with iron is iron, when you ingest it in the body, it's basically going into our red blood cells for hemoglobin, right? So that's 70% of the iron that we are consuming is going into our red blood cells. The other 30% is stored, and it's stored in places like our liver, our spleen, and in our bone marrow, right? So those are some of the places that you're going to find iron stores, right? And so normally what happened with iron deficiency anemia is the stores are depleted, and you also don't have enough in your bloodstream, okay? So I'm not going to go too scientific with it because I try to break it down, but I love for you guys to understand the behind the scenes of what's really going on inside our temple, right? What's going on in our bodies. It's always good to know, because for me, when I learned a lot about, when I learned about science, when I learned about biochemistry, when I learned about how it works in the body, it made it better for me. It made me better able to understand, how it works. So that's what I'm trying to do when I share some of this information, is for you guys to sort of understand the behind the scenes, right? So, so what is iron? Iron basically helps to transport oxygen around the body, right? So if you don't have enough oxygen, imagine what's happening. The oxygen is not flowing properly through your body, and a lot of different things can happen as a result of that, right? So the red blood cells, the iron that goes into your red blood cells carries the blood around the body, all right? And it's starting from the lungs, so it's basically pumping all the blood. Iron, heart, as we know, pumps, and the blood goes around the body, so to the brain, all around your muscles, wherever you need blood, which you do need it all around your body. That's what's happening. All right, so there are two types of iron that I want you guys to thank you, Juliet, I appreciate it. It's hot in here, that's why I have this summer look. Yes, so two types of iron you need to know about. There's heme iron and non-heme iron. So heme iron, and the heme is really because it's talking about the hemoglobin, which is really inside the blood, right? So the heme iron is coming from animals, and the non-heme is coming from plants. So for me, I'm going to be recommending the non-heme, and I'm going to tell you why that is towards the end. You guys already know my whole feeling about animals, but I'm going to try to give you a little bit more detail on that and why. So what are some of the benefits of iron? So iron gives us a lot of energy. It gives us focus. It helps with our gastrointestinal function, right? That's one of the benefits. And I'll say this, you actually won't really realize that you've depleted your iron until it's sort of, you won't really know the benefits until you basically have depleted your iron. And so that's sort of the thing that I want you to be aware of here. You'll start noticing you feel, you might even feel dizzy, and I'm going to go over the symptoms a little bit more in detail, but you're going to feel exhausted, you're going to feel tired, you're going to have a good night's sleep. What you thought was a good night's sleep, you're going to wake up the next day and be like, why am I so tired? Could be because of iron. So it helps with your energy. Those are the benefits. You want to have energy because you need to function, you need to focus. If you want to work out, where are you going to get the energy from, right? If you don't have that. So you don't usually notice until you're not getting enough. That's basically the point I wanted to make there. So specifically, what exactly is iron deficiency anemia? It's a capacity of blood to carry oxygen around the blood, right? The capacity of, so if you do not have iron in your blood, you're not able to carry the oxygen around the body. I think I said that earlier. So you really need iron, and if you notice that you are low, it's because you've gone through different stages. So you don't just wake up one morning and all of a sudden your iron is low. It sort of goes through these phases. So remember I told you about the stores, iron stores. So you have iron in, like I said before, your liver, you have it in your spleen, you have it in your bone marrow. And when that has gone down, when that has depleted, right, the body is trying to still do its thing. That's sort of like the first stage. And then the red blood cell still has some iron in it. But when you get to the next stage where there's absolutely really no iron, generally not absolutely none at all, but it's so low to the point where you really need more, that's when you start having a lot of these symptoms, right? And the idea is your hemoglobin range, which is basically the amount of iron in your red blood cells. A lot of women should be familiar with these numbers. So when I found out that I was anemic, my doctor told me that my hemoglobin number was about 5 at one point, and then 6 at another point. And at that stage, I needed to get iron infusion, right? And that's another thing that you know, it was sort of like emergency iron because I was so low. So what's a good range of iron for anyone, for most of us, right? For adults. Let's talk about adults, because children have a different amount. Even older folks have a different amount. If you're pregnant, you require a different amount. So in your body, you really need to have anywhere from 12 to about 16. That's the hemoglobin number, right, that you're looking for. And I'm speaking a little bit science right now, but when you go to the doctor and they're checking your hemoglobin levels, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that range, right? And if they don't get that good range, that's when they tell you need to go and take iron pills, or when it's usually around 9 or 10, they will prescribe you like iron pills and stuff like that. Now, that's totally fine, but we don't want to get to that stage, and so that's why we're having this conversation. But also, if you are anemic, just good to know what you can do. All right, so we discussed that. So what happens in the blood, the red blood cells are becoming smaller. Okay, so your red blood cells, let's say they're about this size, right? They're not, but let's just assume once you start to have iron deficiency anemia, it really shrinks significantly. And so when they run your blood work, which is how they test for anemia, to see if you have anemia, they're looking to see how it looks. And so that's something, if you even think about it, your red blood cells are shrinking. That's not even a good thing when you think about that, right? Just to think about it in terms of like the function of the body. You wouldn't want to see that happen to your body, but that's what's happening, right? And remember that because it carries oxygen, that's the most important thing you have to remember. This is what helps the oxygen to flow around through the body. Okay, now there's another type of anemia that I kind of want to just touch on. There are different types. So we know, generally most people know about iron deficiency, sickle cell anemia. Those are the two that I think most people are familiar with. But there are about 4 or so others. I'm not going to touch on any of those. I do want to give a little bit of information about the sickle cell anemia. So what happens in the body if you happen to have sickle cell anemia, just to differentiate, right? As I was saying before, the shape of your blood cell is round. Wish I had done a diagram for you guys. So it's round. What happens when you have iron sickle cell, it's sort of shaped like this, which is what they call a sickle. Okay, this is the sickle shape, right? So just imagine this sickle is trying to go through your bloodstream. Now it's basically it's brushing up against the other cells, right? And that's where the pain comes from. So a lot of people who have sickle cell anemia, they complain about a lot of pain. It's because their blood cell is not the normal shape anymore. It's really like this, and so it's brushing up against the other cells, and it's really, really painful. And what do they treat that with? They actually treat that with oxygen. They give that patient a lot of oxygen. They do give them pain meds as well, but they give them a lot of oxygen. So this is how I want you to also understand the importance of having oxygen. Also when it comes to sickle cell anemia, and that's why drinking a lot of water is important. And because I'm not going to cover sickle cell in detail, I just want to summarize it right now. So with sickle cell anemia, guys, you want to eat foods that are high in water content, so lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, and again, just drink as much water as you can have. Obviously, you speak to your doctor because they're going to be treating you. But as far as the natural ways, or as far as nutrition, right, which is why I'm here, I'm talking specifically about nutrition, I want to give you guys that tip for anybody. If you happen to know anyone who has sickle cell anemia, share that with them. And again, share this now if you know anyone who has that, so that they can watch it. Even if they can't watch now, they can always watch later, right? And they can get this information. And so yeah, the blood is very sticky when you have sickle cell anemia, and everything is just like, it's like really trying to slide. You want your blood flow to be easy, to flow naturally and nicely. And so that's why you ingest food that's high in oxygen. And what are the foods that have oxygen? Do you think meat have oxygen? You could Google it after you finish watching me. Meat has absolutely no oxygen. So foods that are alive, plants, I have some of those here, like plants, anything that's like plant-related fruits, those are the things that have a lot of oxygen that I want you to focus on and eat lots of that, so that your blood can flow nicely. And that works for everything in general, right? It's not just for this particular thing, it's also for that. So we require So let's move on from that. So the next thing I want to talk about is how much iron do you actually need on a daily basis, right? So on a daily basis, you need about 1.8 milligrams of iron. So that's for a person who doesn't have any iron deficiency issues. Okay, guys, so that's sort of like what they expect you to get on a normal basis, okay? However, for people who have iron deficiency, that's not going to be enough. So a lot of times that's why the doctors are prescribing an additional amount of iron. In my case, hi Lorna Love, welcome back, good to see you. In my case, when I had, and I'll share a little bit about my story along the way when it's relevant, but when I had iron deficiency anemia, and I actually had to have 2 surgeries, but that's for another topic that I'm going to get to in a second. But I actually had to go to the hospital because my doctor called me at the job, at the office, and said, hey, I need you to put down whatever you're doing now. That's how low it was. I went to the doctor for a normal checkup. I wasn't really feeling well, and she called me and was like, you need to get out of there immediately. And so I had to go and see the doctor for iron infusion, and for about 8 weeks I was getting treatment. So I had to go sit down, you know, for an hour. And that's fairly new, they basically strapped me up. I was actually in a room with a lot of cancer patients, which was very scary. I was so grateful that I was there for iron. My husband was with me, and I was like, oh my gosh, babe, I'm so glad that I'm only here for iron, because, you know, nobody likes to, it was just scary, and I just felt really terrible for those patients. And so I was, you know, happy, but still sort of like, you know, having to take this iron when I could just make sure that I'm eating all the required foods, right? So we need about 1.8 milligrams, which kind of doesn't make sense when you think about it. Just eat a lot of iron-rich foods and you're going to get that 1.8, right? But a lot of times we're not absorbing all the iron that we're eating. And so that's really the problem for a lot of people, right? You are only absorbing 10 to 30% of the iron that you're ingesting. So it's very easy for people to become deficient, right? And I'm going to go into the reasons why people become deficient, but it's you're not absorbing everything, because people always say, and I've said it, you are what you eat. Yes, but you are what you absorb. That's the other part that you got to remember here, okay? You are what you absorb. So you can eat as much as you want. If your body's not absorbing it, what is the point anyway, right? It's not going to go anywhere. So that is very important. I want you to know that. I want to also cover men and women, the differences between men and women and how their body works. So when you think of a guy, a dude, right? Dudes, they're different than us women, right? Men and women. I know I have men and women watching, so I'm going to speak to both of you right now. So when it comes to men, men are obviously stronger, bigger, and their bodies work different, slightly different biochemistry. So men's bodies store about 1,000 milligrams of iron in their stores, right? That lasts them for about 3 years. Women, catch this, we only got 6 months worth, about 300 milligrams. So we have to be very, very careful, because we're going to run out faster, right? And we're going to get into why in a second, right? So I'm sharing all of this for you guys to kind of understand the background of all of that. So when you become deficient and depleted, is because you've gone through these stages that I mentioned where your iron stores first get depleted, right? Like I said, men, going to take a lot longer for them to run out. And remember, guys, most importantly, men don't go through what women do every month. So they're able to maintain their stores, right? They're able to maintain their stores, but women are, it's different, okay? So we're gonna get into that in a second. So when you become deficient, obviously, which we're gonna talk about how you know you become deficient, the different things that you can look out for. So how do you know if you are anemic? Here are some of the symptoms, or not necessarily symptoms, rather. You actually need to go to get a blood test. That's how you know. That's the first step. There are some signs, there are some other things that you can look out for. Now, one of the things that I had was this thing called Pica. I don't know if you guys heard of it. So Pica is basically when you are having these unusual cravings. So my craving was ice. I never had a craving for ice before. All of a sudden, I'm cracking ice, embarrassing my husband when we go out to the restaurants, because I just couldn't control it. I'm just like, can I get some ice? And I'm here cracking ice. My teeth is going, you know, what do you call it, sada? Like, I'm ruining my teeth, cracking this ice. It was such an embarrassment, and I didn't even know why. One of the things the doctor told me when I went, that's one of the first questions he asked me. right? So I had to see a hematologist. So I saw my general doctor. She referred me to a hematologist, right, which is a blood doctor. Once I saw him, he was like, so do you have any kind of cravings or anything? Do you find yourself chewing on ice? Which a lot of people have the same thing. I see Juliet saying her too, all day, every day. Girl, you might have to look into that. Some people just love ice. But a lot of us, when we chew in ice, like right now, I don't crave ice. I don't want ice. So you kind of can differentiate when you feel yourself start craving it. Maybe my iron is low, right? So that's one of the symptoms, one of the ways that you can tell your shortness of breath. You also feel your heart, extra beats, because it has to work harder. Your heart actually has to work a lot harder, guys. And so that's one of the main things I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to share what happened to me when I was in the hospital after I had my surgery with that in a second. But yeah, so you have shortness of breath. I didn't want to forget any, so I wrote them down. Fatigue, you're very tired, like I said before. You can't sleep a whole night, I'll wake up the morning and I'm still tired, right? Not enough oxygen is getting to you. Sometimes you have dark circles under your eyes. Brittle nails, that's one of them. Depression. Can you believe that? You get depressed if you have iron deficiency anemia. That's a part of it. So because energy level is low, so you feel low. You're not doing the things you love. You're not going for a run anymore. You're not doing the things that are gonna get those nice hormones flowing through your body, right? So it's the healthy hormones that keep you elevated and excited, which happens when I went for a run this morning, y'all. Oh my gosh, I felt so good. I came back, I was like, and it had been a minute because life, right? But anyway, one of the things to know, you lose your energy. You also can get dizzy. I want to focus a little bit on the heart thing now. So what happened to me when I was in the hospital, I had just had fibroid surgery, right? To remove fibroids, and that was the second time. You all getting to know me, know my personal business. It's okay. So I had fibroids. I had to have them removed. I'm in the hospital. It's in the middle of the night. The nurse comes. She tells me I need iron. Because when if you have a surgery, and this is when I actually made a shift. Massive changes in my life happened after that. Glory be to God. But anyway, I digress. So the nurse came first and she said, you need iron. You need blood. So I said, I don't want to take no blood. I don't want nobody else's blood in my body. What are you talking about? So I refused it. Maybe a minute later, I'm going to drop asleep, wake up. The doctor is waking me up at this point. And the doctor is like, you don't have a choice. You are down to like a 5, right? Remember the hemoglobin number we just talked about? You're down to a 5. You have to take it. If something happens to you overnight, it's not our responsibility. And she was referring to my heart. She basically told me like I was gonna almost pretty much have a heart attack if I didn't take Now people do. There are issues where people will lose their life over anemia, but it's very, very rare. It's not a lot, right? And it's generally a lot of times over toxicity. But I was in the ER. Not the ER surgery. I just had a surgery, right? Lost a lot of blood, right? So that's generally what happened. You lose a lot of blood, and so I needed to put back that so my oxygen could flow, so my brain, nothing could happen to my brain, so my heart could do the work that it was meant to do. All right. So so that's one of the things I wanted to mention. Now, I talked about supplementation. I want you guys to know. Michelle says she had fibroids. I know a lot of women struggle with it. A lot of African American women suffer with it, even more than Caucasians. And one of the things I want to say is they're not doing enough to even research this, right? Because that was my second fibroid surgery. That's why I went plant-based, guys. That's why I went plant-based. I just couldn't. I was like, there has to be a better way, right? And so, African American women who struggle with this situation, they're not doing a lot. All my doctor told me was, yeah, you're probably going to be back again here, but I'm not going to be back again there. I'm doing whatever it takes to make sure I don't get sliced open for the 3rd time, because that is ridiculous. We don't want that, right? But if you have to supplement, guys, you're getting that from your doctor. You're not doing it on your own. I'm going to recommend to you, if you happen to have to supplement and the doctor tell you to get your iron, he's going to tell you which iron to get. For me, personally, because I know of this, every month during a certain time, I will get what's called Floridix, and it's this is the one that I use. If anybody happen to want to know, this is the one that I use, guys. All right. I'll put a link to it after this conversation, And I'm also going to share it on my page, on My Temple Wellness. So make sure you follow me there too, guys, because I'll share some stuff on there. And I like the liquid form because it gets right to the bloodstream, right? So that's why I use that, okay? But I'm going to get into a little bit more, and I have to run along quickly here because we got to cook tonight. You guys going like when we're cooking. So what are the causes of anemia, right? Iron deficiency. I already said one. Blood loss, right? And blood loss through specifically, I'm going to share it again, Shirley. I'm going to share it again. I'm going to share the name in a second, all right? So women monthly menstruations, that's one of the typical ways. The main way I would say, just based on studies, that we lose blood. There are other ways like ulcers, right? Stomach ulcers, right? And that sometimes a lot of guys might struggle with that. Women too. So if you have bleeding from an ulcer, you have to address that. You have to address the actual root cause, not just like, oh, let me take some iron to sort of like, you know, get my iron up. You really got to deal with the ulcer issue. Same with women. When we, like for me, when I had my fibroids issue, clearly I was having a lot of issues every month, longer periods, so a lot more blood loss. And so I dealt with the root cause issue. That fixed it, so I didn't have to keep having this reoccurring, like have to feed myself iron, right? Because it's like you got to keep replenishing all the time. So any type of uterine bleeding, any type of you know, issues with as far as gynecological issues, fibroids, uterine bleeding, you guys know the list of them. A lot of the women are familiar with what I'm referring to here. And then the other one is pregnant women. So pregnant women, when women get pregnant, and even if you're thinking about getting pregnant, ladies, here's a tip, right? You make sure your iron levels are good, because what happens is once you get pregnant, the body, basically the amount of blood increases, right? And it increases because you're gonna have a little baby. You're gonna have a little sweet little baby. So, so your body basically says, hey, she needs more blood. And when the blood increases, right, the hemoglobin needs to increase as far as the iron. So you need to make sure you're ingesting more iron. So that's why a lot of adolescent girls struggle with iron deficiency anemia, because when you have that rapid growth, right, you grow up, and then you used to not eat a certain amount of iron, but then all of a sudden, you know, you grow up and then you're not increasing the amount of iron then, right? So pregnant women need I wouldn't say a lot more, but they need significant amount more, right? So you need to speak to your doctor if you are pregnant, or if you're planning on getting pregnant, to make sure that you have the right amount, okay? Because the body is making more blood for baby, okay? So make sure you keep that in mind. And if you know anybody, again, who pregnant, share this, because a lot of women, you see them cracking ice, right? Yeah. So share this, guys, as you go, share this. And as you're coming in, let me know where you are coming in from. And then the main reason is simply, one of the other reasons is like, you're just not getting enough in your diet. You're just not getting enough iron in your diet. We're going to talk about treatment now. And again, disclosure, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a nutritionist, however. So we're going to talk about more the nutrition aspect of that. You need to consult your doctor for if you need to take the actual medicine, the actual supplement rather. All right, so what's the healthiest form? Before I mentioned heme iron was animal protein. Non-heme iron is plant-based protein. Plant-based proteins is what I'm going to recommend. That's what we're going to be making this evening. You guys going to love what I make. Welcome, Mississippi, sunshine, sunshine. I've seen you here before. Good to see you. So the healthiest form of iron is whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, right? Beans, all of that, right? The thing to note, guys, when you are having these plant-based protein, the reason why they always tell you to eat, because when I was deficient, they told me eat a lot of liver, eat red meat. One time I even went out and bought bison. I never had bison before in my life. But because they said that bison have a lot of iron, I went out and I bought bison, cooked the bison, everything. I mean, it tastes good still, but I mean, who wants to be eating all of that that meat when it has all these other issues, right? Because the thing about meat, it's a double-edged sword. You're gonna eat it, you're gonna get the iron. Yes, you're gonna get a lot of iron, but you're getting a whole lot of other stuff that comes with that, and that's what I want you guys to be aware of, right? So yeah, when you're eating the iron, plant-based iron is going to be better absorbed in your body when you include vitamin C. So one of the things that I do on a monthly basis or on a consistent basis, just to make sure my iron level is good, I use blackstrap molasses. This is the one that I buy. If you want to get it, it's on you could get it on Amazon. You guys know I'm not promoting no brand necessarily, right? But I like to share what I use and what I have in my kitchen. So this is what I use, and every morning I take 1 tablespoon, put it in a little cup, and then I put some lemon on it, squeeze some lemon, mix it up, and I eat, and I have that. It has a lot of iron in it, and it's a good natural way to get your iron instead of relying on even these, you know, the liquid iron that I was just telling you about, right? So 1 teaspoon has quite a bit. Where is it here? 20% of the daily value is found here, right? So you're getting a whole lot. And also what I love about this, it has other things in it. So you got some calcium, you got magnesium, you're getting a lot of good things with blackstrap molasses. So I recommend to have this, ladies. Men, as you're listening, make sure you get this for your wives, blackstrap molasses, so you can help them out, right? And men too, you know, when I mentioned the ulcers, that's a part of why some people have that anemia, iron deficiency anemia, and also some cancers as well. Unfortunately, people who have some type of colon cancer, those type of cancers, generally those folks will see iron deficiency anemia, and that's a lot of times with older folks. All right, so can excess iron be harmful? Yes. So I want you guys to be aware of that. Do not just go out and say, I think I'm anemic, I'm chewing ice, or any of those things I mentioned before. Don't just start pumping yourself with iron, okay? You need to get the blood test first. Once you get the blood test and your doctor tell you that you are iron deficient, he will even tell you how much iron, 65 milligrams a day, or whatever it is, you start to take that, okay? And again, like I said before, if you can get it in this form, I will share the one that I use. I'll share all of that at the bottom, the blackstrap molasses brand and everything like that. So high dosage of iron is not good, right? You're going to find yourself having stomach pain, constipation, and things like that. And so you don't want to have excess iron. Now, if you're cooking with a cast iron pot, for example, there's a lot of iron that's coming from the cast iron pot. And if you're cooking for yourself because you need iron, that's okay. But if you're cooking for your husband and he don't need no iron, you're going to give him excess iron. And so you got to be careful with that. I want to make sure I point that out to you guys, men and women who are listening. Now, if you have extreme iron, it can cause actual organ failure. You can have even, you can actually die from having too much iron, right? Excess amount of iron. All right. So the symptoms I shared before, I don't want you guys to go out and just start ingesting iron and start popping iron pills. You can get it from your food, right? Naturally, if you do think you are concerned for that, you can get it from your food. And then you can do that. I'm going to see if I could have, yeah, so I see a note here that says, I wish these medical doctors who are in healthcare industry worked closely with nutritionists instead of pharmacists. That's great. Yeah, they should promote health and nutrition drugs. Michelle, really great point. Thank you for saying that. It's really true. And that's why I do say to a lot of people, if you can find a functional medicine doctor or a medical doctor who cares about nutrition, that's what's going to really help you. So I know I said this on my other series, guys. If you never saw them, go back and check them out, because I did share a lot of information. You want to focus on doctors or work with doctors who care about nutrition. See how that doctor's also caring for themselves. All right, that's important. But speak to them about nutrition and see what they think about nutrition, because it's really important. Pharmaceutical industries is just trying to get your money, just trying to give you guys supplements. Supplements are a business. I'm sure you guys heard me say that before. Supplements is a big business. There's a lot of things that you know, you don't really want to do. You want to make sure you do nutrition, eat foods. Right? You can get everything from foods. As a plant-based person, I might pack my plate with a lot of vegetables because I want to make sure I'm getting all the nutrients that my body needs. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a few more tips here before we go into the next section and I tell you something else. So the tips I'm going to give you here is to make sure you don't inhibit or stop the amount of iron absorption that comes into the body. So when you are having your dinner and you're eating these iron rich foods, guys, Do not have caffeine. Do not have teas and all of that stuff with your dinner. It's tempted, right? You're tempted to do that, because I have done that too in the past. Give yourself enough time to digest your food, and then later on you can actually enjoy a cup of tea at the end of the night. That's why it's also important to eat early, right? Eat like around 6-7 o'clock. It's also very important, because then by 9 o'clock or so, or even 8:30, you can have a small cup of tea before you go to bed. But don't eat, or drink rather, these teas and coffees while you're eating, because it's going to inhibit or stop the absorption of the iron, right? So that's what we want to make sure of. And also, some calcium foods also inhibit calcium foods also, or even taking calcium pills can inhibit the absorption of iron. So I wanted you to know that. And then when you're doing the plant-based foods, you want to make sure you're getting the vitamin C. Like I said before, when I do my molasses, in order for it to be digested properly in my body, I squeeze some lemon. On purpose, I do that. You see people squeezing lemon on fish? That's also probably to help. Not probably. It is to help with the absorption of whatever nutrients they're getting. All right, so your salads, put lemon on your salads, right? Whatever it is that you're eating that has iron, put some lemon on it. Or worst case scenario, have an orange afterwards. Squeeze some orange. I tend to have orange after dinner sometimes if I have it. So you want to make sure you're absorbing it, because not only are you what you eat, you are what you eat, but you are what you absorb. Okay, so that's the thing I want you guys to remember. I already talked about the cast iron pan. Remember, cooking in cast iron pan, you're going to get some iron. And then when you're cooking your vegetables, guys, don't overcook them. Jeez, don't overcook them, because if you overcook them, you're cooking out all the nutrients. In this house, we eat a lot of raw foods. Some days is like raw for 3 or 4 days. We just eat raw. So do that as well, because that's going to help you. You're going to get a lot of nutrients. So one of the things, so that's it, guys. We are done. I'm going to go into the cooking section. I already did some of the cooking, so make it easy for you guys. We're going to get this one turned up so we can cook. We're making some meatless Mondays, guys. We're back with the meatless Mondays. We're going to do some stew peas, all right? But vegan style or meatless style, all right? I'm going to be sharing this on my page. This is a list of the foods. I put this together for you guys, all right? So it's a list of the foods that you can use to help you get more iron. I'll just go over some of them. Spinach, almonds, raisins, watermelon, all these foods, greens and green peas, lentils, all of that. So if you guys want this, go to my page. You know, in a couple of hours, I'm going to upload it on My Temple Wellness. So you can follow me there, and you can see this, and I also share a lot of other nutrition information on there as well. So I hope this was useful for you guys. I'm going to try to get to a couple of these questions. We're not going to have a lot of time right now, so I'm going to get some of this thing going. I'm just going to read a couple of these questions. I'm not going to go too far back, guys, because it's a lot of comments here. I didn't know about eating and drinking tea. I do that all the time. Yep, you got to be careful with that. That's why I'm here, guys. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you guys. Thank you so much, says Grace Purpose. Yes, I want the list. I will put it on my Temple Wellness, Grace. You already follow me. But for those of you who don't follow me on my Temple Wellness page. Also, follow Jamaicans.com. If you happen to be here, you're not following Jamaicans.com, follow them, guys. So Natalia Grant says, sometimes I'm stuck in bed for days because I don't have any energy. Go to the doctor and try to get your iron levels checked, okay? And see if that could be what it is. All right, guys. Julia Thompson, what is the simplest way to try a plant-based diet? The way that I did it, I took my time. I didn't rush it after I had the incident with having that surgery. You know, I felt like it was something that I needed to do. I felt like God was telling me that I need to make the shift. And so I did it very slowly. First, I cut out the red meat, which was hard because, you know, Jamaican people, we love oxtail and stuff like that. So first, I cut out the meat, and I did love oxtail. So first, I cut out the red meat, one thing at a time, and then I started slowly with the chicken. Now, that period of change took me about almost a year to fully get to the place where I was like, I'm done with all the chicken and all that. Imagine fried chicken no more, right? But I love it. I love my new lifestyle. It's amazing. I found creative ways to make things like this evening, what I'm going to share with you guys is stew peas. And thank God I had already cooked some of it, but I'm going to show you how I put it together. So you're going to have the recipe. I'm going to answer all your questions. So put your questions in here. Please share. Please like. Right now, what I'm going to do, let's switch over. Thank you, guys. I can't get to any more of those questions because we got to move on. But I appreciate all you for coming on, for being here. I'm going to cook tonight some stew peas, like I said before, with some quinoa. I got some brown quinoa here, and I have it in my strainer because a lot of people always say, how do you wash the quinoa? Because we have to wash the quinoa. How do you wash the quinoa without losing all the quinoa, right? So I put it in a strainer and I just run the water over it. So I'm gonna do that right now real quick and get that in the pot. It takes 15 minutes to cook. All right, and so see, just like that, it's in here. You're not losing any, and I'm just gonna run the water over it real quick and then dump it in my pot to cook. So so that's it. That's how I'm washing my quinoa. All right, guys, so I'm gonna throw that in the pot. Quinoa takes, this quinoa is, you can come a little closer if you can. This is the quinoa, it's the brown quinoa. All right, it takes about 15 minutes to cook, this particular one here. All right, actually most of them is only 15 minutes, and I like to rinse it off. It's recommended on the package, but I just like to wash my stuff all the time just to be sure, right? All right, so now I'm gonna dump that in the pot, and then I'm gonna show you all the other ingredients that I have for my stew peas, and we're gonna turn on the pot. I already cooked the peas, guys. So what I did was, and let me just put the quinoa in, and I'll share with you guys the process of how I made mine. So I'm gonna put the quinoa in here. All right. Now you see my little system, right? All right, guys, so we're gonna just let that cook. I'm gonna turn that up to a level 3, 4. Let it boil. The water had already boiled before, but I turned it down. All right, guys, so let's get into the rest of this stuff here. All right, so this is the peas that I use. I use it's a little crooked there, the camera. All right, I use organic red kidney beans. I soaked it overnight. Once I soaked it overnight, it softened it, and it also did something great for the beans, right? And then, is my pot on for the red, with the red peas? All right, so I have all my ingredients. So the red peas have already been cooked. It cooks really fast once you soak it overnight. It cooks super fast. So I cooked it earlier. So you guys are going to see me put together the stew peas. But I wanted to introduce you to something else. Before I put everything in my stew peas, I wanted to introduce you guys to something new, because we need substitutions, we need better options. So this is called Spelt Flour, all right? Okay, Spelt Flour, all right? And this is a flour that I use to make, because you know you can't have stew peas without the spinners, right? So we're gonna make some spinners right now. I'm gonna show you guys. It's quick. Most people know how to make spinners or dumpling, right? We call it dumpling. Most people know how to make that already. So we're gonna make that and try to put this meal together real quick. Let me wash my hands before I knead the flour, because you know how that goes already. So what's the simplest way? Okay, that's the last comment I see. I see there's more comments down there, but I can't get to them right now. But I promise you, when I'm done, I'm gonna take some time after me eat my dinner. That's usually what I do. I try to eat my dinner first, and then I try to talk to them afterwards. Sometimes things happen and I don't get a chance, right? Sometimes I see a lot of comments here, but again, guys, I'll get to it after. So again, spelt flour. We're going to use a little bit of that. So let's do about 1.5 cups of spelt flour. Okay, and spelt flour has been around for over 5,000 years. It's been around for a very long time. It's like whole wheat flour, but so much better. So I want you guys to try this. Honestly, I don't know if you're gonna miss regular flour, because remember, the white flour, as we've talked about before, it's not that good for your body. Okay, so right now I'm gonna put just a little bit of salt in my flour. I already have my water here, and I'm going to start to get it together here. So if you can come a little bit closer with the camera, I'm gonna knead the flour here for you guys. So again, I highly recommend you try the flour that I'm using, this even spelt flour. Hopefully you can see it there. I'm gonna just throw a little water in and try to get this knead up real quick. So I'm just making some spinners, not a lot. And like I said before, I kind of predicted that I might have gone over, because I know anemia is a topic that requires a lot of, it was going to take some time to cover. So the stew peas is already done, but I'm showing you certain things. Okay, so let's get into this flour here. See if I see any comments coming up. Put the name of the products that you are using. Yes, I will share the products that I use. I usually put them up on the page. Like I said, I'm going to try to do them all tonight. Remember, guys, share this on your page. Like my Temple Wellness if you haven't done so. I like to share information on there during the week. Sometimes I pop up and I do, I share recipes on there too, but not as often as I would like, because, you know, your girl have a lot going on, which is a blessing, right? All right, so we just go finish kneading this flour here. Still a little bit sticky, so you want to make it more dry. I did put too much water in there at first. You have to really put your shoulder into it when you're kneading the flour, you know. You can't fool around. So, guys, white flour, right? So bad for the body. So bad for the body. Any type of white food, white rice. You can't see half of me, you can't even see the full of me, but you can't see the dumpling I'm making, which is fine. All right, guys, so let's do the spinners. Patricia said, you are like a hidden gem now being revealed. Oh, Patricia, that's so sweet. Girl, listen, I finished my degree not that long ago. I was an accountant before, and I just wasn't happy. Some of you guys probably already know that story. I wasn't happy, and I followed the leading of the Lord for my life. That's what I do. That's how I live. And he the one told me to go and do nutrition. So, and I always loved cooking. I enjoy cooking. I actually had my husband and I lived in another country in Indonesia for a couple of years, and we had a Jamaican restaurant there. One of these days I'll share it on my Temple Wellness so you guys can see. Nice little cafe in Indonesia, in Bali. It was the only Jamaican restaurant. We brought a lot of great food to people. They love the oxtail, but yeah, we ended up leaving because we miss family so much, so we moved back come foreign. So I always loved food. I was always fascinated with food. I always enjoyed cooking. That's just something that I love. I'm not a chef like Chef Noel. I know some of you guys know him. He's a good chef, right? All right, guys, so spinner's done. Let me talk about the rest of my ingredients here. So spelt flour, guys, I highly recommend it. My hand have all the flour, but me now wash it off because we're kind of pressed for time right now. So the pot is over there with the peas in it. So what I did, I boiled the peas like I said before, and just let it cook till it's soft, right? Once it was cooked till it's soft, I put all these different ingredients in there. So here I have a very, very small piece of vegetable bouillon. You can use that if you like, just to give it a little bit of extra stuff. I have some chocho. If you're Jamaican, you know what chocho is, right? My husband loved this because his dad used to love it. So I tried it. When I see it, I buy it for him. So I put a little bit of that in there, optional. If it's up to you, all right? Then I have some sweet potato. Sweet potato have vitamin C in it. So a lot of these foods I'm using, they have iron. The reason I'm making this meal is to show you iron. So iron is found in beans. That's why we're making this meal. So the beans, the red kidney beans, have a lot of iron in it. Also, thyme has vitamin C. So that's going to help also with the absorption. So I'm going to go over to my pot right now and put all these things in it. Okay, so we have, in addition to those other ingredients I mentioned to you, I have carrots. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to get a better setup for you guys because this is not as it's not as easy for you to see. So we have our carrots here. Of course, you know, we have like a pepper that we're going to put on the top. We have onion, some garlic over here. So not garlic, garlic. If you're Jamaican, you understand that, right? Of course, we have some scallion. I already beat them out, right? And then we have some onion here. So, all right. So what you want to do first, guys, you want to put things like your chocho, and not even the chocho. Chocho probably should go in when you put in the carrot, but since you guys are we're running out of time, I'm going to put everything in right now so you can see. So let's go over to the pot so you guys can see. I'm going to throw all these ingredients in. Okay, so we're going to put all of this. I'm going to dump my veggie bouillon in there. Now I'm gonna put those potato and chocho inside. I'm also gonna put my carrots inside. And basically when you're doing this, you do it like you do, if you used to do your pigtail stew peas, which no, you're trying to do better because you're trying to do plant-based, right? You're gonna do like what I'm doing here. Okay, so you're gonna make sure and I break them up as well. And I just put everything in the pot. All of the goodness that the earth has to offer, earth bounty. Look at all of these amazing things that God left here for us, all these herbs, right? Why should we be eating processed foods? You guys know how I feel about processed foods already. Why should we be eating processed foods when we have all these delicious things? I'm coming right back, so you can zoom in a little bit, maybe go over here. Is the quinoa, how's the quinoa? I'm gonna check the quinoa. Alright, so what I'll do, I'll just use the rice. And let's not forget our dumpling. So let me stir that around. Let's stir that around. Alright guys, so let's let that cook for a little bit and then we'll put our dumpling in a minute. Okay? So you guys see that process, you understand, you get all your vegetables and you dump it all in, you're gonna let it cook, not on high, you're gonna put it down on a 3 and let it start to cook a little bit. Our quinoa, let's check in on that. So worst case scenario guys, what happened is if the quinoa is not ready, I'm gonna get my spoon here. I use the same spoon. If my quinoa is not ready, yesterday we had some rice and peas, so I'll just plate it with the rice and peas. All right, for the essence of time. So we're gonna actually move this to the back stove. And I'm gonna get my finished product for you guys. So voila. As they say in France, you have got your finished stew peas cooked from earlier. Pimento, everything is in here. The same things you saw me put in here. What I'm going to end up doing with this is I'm going to freeze that one, and this is going to be our dinner for tonight. Okay, so you can see the stew peas in the essence of time, which I factored in that maybe we run out of time. Hopefully you can see it nicely. You can see it. Okay, so this has already been cooked. I'm going to warm it up. I'm gonna plate it. So what I did guys, when I was making the water for when I put together the stew peas, when I was just boiling it, I put some of this in there, the allspice pimento. You guys familiar with this? If you're not, get this in your kitchen, right? So I put some pimento in there with some salt, and I let the peas cook first, and obviously put all the ingredients that you see. Now you're seeing the result, the end result. The other thing that I use guys that I didn't mention is, and I'm gonna put that in after for the other one, is coconut milk. All right, so you can turn back the camera here. I'm gonna get something on the plate. So the coconut milk is gonna give it a little bit of the flavor that you're seeing there, and so that's what this is here. This is the non-BPA one. As you guys know, you want to get the one without the BPA lining, because BPA is like a chemical, and it's found in most cans. So you want to find, if you're gonna use can. Otherwise, I encourage you, if you can find a fresh coconut, grate it or whatever you need to do, blend it however you need to do it. When I can, that's what I do, and it make it taste so good. All right, so our stew peas is ready. I'm gonna use some rice and peas. Let's put this over here. So I'm gonna finish cooking the other pot, don't worry about it. I did that especially for you guys. We are almost out of time, so I'm going to just get a plate, and we're gonna plate this thing this evening. Okay. So what will end up happening is I'll fry my plantain after I'm done, because I won't have time to do that either. Okay, so let's plate this and try it. So I have some leftover rice and peas from yesterday, Sunday, Monday. All right, so there is my rice and peas. I'm going to put some of my stew peas on there. So normally you want to cook this. A lot of people cook this with like brown rice. I'm trying to encourage you not to eat white rice anymore. So brown rice are quinoa. That's why I was making quinoa for you guys. So we're going to plate this and then have you guys see the end result here. This was a little bit too high. So remember guys, the peas has protein, it has iron, and again, this has a lot of chocho. We don't want to take the pepper. That's the pepper. We have 2 peppers, 2 Scotch bonnet in here. And we have some spelt dumpling. This has a lot of starch in there too. The potato has vitamin C. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. So this has, how much dumpling? I put 2. All right, that's going to be, let's get some carrots on there. And this was supposed to come out from before. Once you cook, you take out your time, right? And of course the gravy. Let's put some of that on there. Okay, I think that's good. Of course, I'm gonna slice my favorites. You guys know already my relationship with avocado just gets better and better every day. I love avocado. It's not straight. Straight this out just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's good. All right, so let's throw some avocado. And what I like to do when I put avocado on my plate, because it's a healthy fat. All right, the avocado is a healthy fat. I eat it with the dumpling. The dumpling and the rice, it just makes it taste so good. All right, so we have 1 minute. I'm gonna taste, try to show you guys the plate. I hope you guys enjoyed the show this evening. Little bit different format than we're used to. Okay, so here we are, guys. This is the plate. I hope you can see it. Try to come a little bit closer so you can see it. Okay, Scotch bonnet gives flavor. It does grace purpose. It sure does. All right, guys, so let me try this meatless Monday stew peas. I hope, well, the pepper didn't burst, so I think I'm good. It won't be too spicy. Very good. Sweet potato. It's very nice. Okay. It's delicious. Tons of iron. The spelt flour has iron in it. Molasses, remember molasses. I'm gonna share everything, guys. So sorry, the camera might be a little bit crooked, but that's okay. It was good to be here with y'all this evening. I gotta run. Follow my Temple Wellness for more nutrition information. Follow Jamaicans.com if you're not already doing so, and I will share the recipe for this, specifically what I used. Okay, so you can try it at home. That's spelt flour. You need to get into it. It's good. Trust and believe. It's amazing. All right, not much else to say, guys. Just keep your iron going up. Make sure your body is healthy. Make sure you have all the nutrients you need. I'm thinking of covering calcium next. But if you have a thought on something you want me to cover, remember, you can let me know. All right, I have topics already lined up, but I'm always willing to take suggestions and get new information from you guys. Love you all. Good to see y'all. Right now, so sunshine, good to see you. Sharon, Brian, good to have you. Michelle, one of my regulars. Audrey, wonderful dinner, thanks for sharing. Yes, of course. Grace Purpose, love to see you on, girl. Yes, Chef Noel, because of first when transition plant-based, I was okay. Well, I'll read into that some more. Pauline Grant, yes, I remember you. I'll definitely make this. Yes, let me know if you guys like it. And Tamika, hey girl, yes. Oh, you did meatless stew peas, no meat. Tamika, Sheila's ahead of us. And Kamina, my good girlfriend. Thank you, girl. Looks delicious. I love all of y'all. I'm so grateful that you guys all came on. Sharon, Brian, great dish. Okay, I gotta run. We're 2 minutes over, so I will speak to you guys all next Monday. Make sure you tune in, make sure you follow, make sure you share this, more importantly, with folks who you think might need it. Just share it on your page. All right, guys. See you later. I'm gonna go eat my dinner. Love y'all.